Andalusia Marine, located in Andalusia, Alabama, your express, all-weld stick steering, Polarcraft, Starcraft, veranda pontoon dealer. One call heating, air, and refrigeration, Mr. Stephen Dubb, air conditioning guy you can trust. RMC Mechanical Contractors, located in Chelsea, Alabama. Give us a call for all your industrial contracting needs. Styler Arms, located in Bessemer, Alabama. You can also pick these rifles up at Simmons Sporting Goods. That is a Steyr Scout in that picture. I've been hunting with a pro hunter for about 30 years, guy. One of the finest rifles made. Pick one up today, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Alpha Plumbing, Mr. D. Robinson. He's been with us since day one. Call him for any of your plumbing needs, a plumbing guy you can trust. CT Ward Power Sports, Camden, Alabama on Highway 28. Your Excel center console, side console, Godfrey pontoon, Hustler lawnmower, and Mercury and Yamaha service dealer. Power brakes. If you want to get your total boat control under control, get you a set of these. Give old Chad Clifton a call. www.mypowerbrakes.com. All right, here we go, guys. Get this thing started, man. We had to thank our sponsors. We've already got 30 people on here, baby. They were sitting on go.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, guys. Let's see. We got Scott Seals, Slab Busters, Shiloh's on here. Mr. Corey Newby, Holden Higgs, Chad Gillen, Mr. Tommy Keller. Hey, bud. Philip Dotson. Man, we got a crowd on here already. There's 31 people jumped on. They were waiting on go, guys. We Mr. Bill Lolly Jr., how you doing, bud? I changed the background pictures to some
you
ochre.
Did. It messed with my mic when you did, or my screen when you did.
I posted out it's some fried crappie and onion rings and fried okra. I don't think anybody turned that food right there down, buddy. That's some good eating right there. All right, guys, we're Thursday night again. The week's done flown by, and we John and I released a in-depth series on maps. Man, I think it turned out great. A lot of good information shared with John, and it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Several people sent me messages, said they listened to it going down the road. Mr. Bill Lolly was like, I hope you're going to put the video out, because he wanted to see the pictures that John was speaking about. So I think it turned out great, and it's been downloaded. Y'all get on there and listen to it in your truck, and you know, and let us know how you like that. And like John said on the podcast in the in-depth series, if y'all got some suggestions for stuff we need to talk about, we'll write it down, and we get a general consensus of, hey, you know, they might want to talk about rod and reel setups, or you know, and hopefully I'm gonna get some pictures, and I meant to tell John some side scan pictures of some brush piles, and your live scope, you know, especially if it's a ledge, and we can match them up with a map. You know, you can put it all three together, and that'll help some people that really don't have a clue, you know, and I understand, I've been there before. So Jess, you doing all right this evening?
I'm good.
Jess been wide open at work.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah, amen. Amen, buddy. I think John went and caught a bunch of fish yesterday, and you going mullet fishing in the morning when you going, John?
Yeah, we're going in the morning, me and my buddy Greg, and we got a lot of times you don't. I'll always go on my boat anywhere I go, and
right.
And tomorrow we're going on Greg's boat, so I always overthink everything when I go on somebody else's boat. So I'm like, I'll probably have way too much stuff back.
Yeah, I know the setup's weird for them to catch those mullets. John was explaining to me what he's using to catch them, and I'm like, huh?
You know, we've never talked about that. We could do that if you want.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy, guys. There's a lot of places, you know, south of me, of course, and around John's area on the lower Alabama River stuff that you can catch these mullets. And the way John and Jess explained to me when I went and stayed with them, man, they have a blast catching these things. I mean, it's, you know, I need to let John talk about it, but maybe he can kind of do some video and then show us a little bit about it, you know, and then we can really get into it. But Sonny wants to know how your tournament was on lay. I forgot to even talk about that. John and Jessica, y'all come in third, right, John? In the third?
Did.
They just fished one at lay. Go ahead and tell everybody about that, you know.
But Sonny, it was tough. We're fortunate. We got a very close friend of ours, Ray Morris, and he has a house there that he rents out there on lay, and we got to stay with him. It didn't cost us anything to stay, so we made a little vacation trip out of it. And if you'll look at last week's video, you get to see that sunset, and
Oh yeah,
you
that
know
was it was
that's
so
there on.
it was
Yes,
distracting for real. It was
it
very
was,
distracting. It really was.
and that's there on Lay Lake. We the first day and a half, it was. I would have sworn that we weren't going to weigh in 7 fish,
I
and
remember talking to you at night.
yeah,
John was like, "Hey man, if I catch 7, I'll be happy." I was like, "Man, it's
yeah.
got to be getting tough."
So the places we started, it was some places we traditionally catch fish, and the water was clear because they have we're in a drought. You know what I'm saying? There was
Big
no
time.
rain, and the fish that we could see them, good fish, really really good fish, and they're sitting there, and you can throw the kitchen sink at them, and
You just wouldn't eat.
they wouldn't eat. I mean,
Yeah, they got a bad
and
attitude, man. I ran into
right.
the same thing.
So we had to move and go to some places that we normally don't fish there, and uh, change some stuff up. And I'm not going to kind of really go into what we did because I think it might affect the way some people are thinking for this tournament on this next weekend because it's on the same chain of lakes. But we
Right.
had to do some things differently, and we caught a lot of fish during the tournament. It just we had to weed through them, and we I moved back to where those big fish were. We did a little before lunch, and same thing. I mean, when you're running that far, you know, 20 minutes or so, and you don't want to go back again to where you were before. So Jessica and I, we made a decision to go down there and try to catch some of those bigger fish, and we just couldn't get them to eat again. And heck, at lunchtime, I was like, you know what? We can go to this marina right here and eat lunch, and
John told me that. They
yeah,
just say they was so tough. They was like, we might as well go eat.
yeah.
And that's
It was the
awesome.
first going to eat lunch during a tournament.
I
That's
loved
awesome.
Jessica
it.
Lunch. I mean, it was cool. It's a laid back tournament. The guys
Yeah.
that run that, uh, Headley and them, man. If you want to fish a fun tournament with some great people, that Lay Lake Sunday series is awesome. I loved everybody we met there. They were so nice to us and nice to everybody that was in it. Congratulations to Jessica and Kevin Hicks for winning it.
Yeah, they won.
My
Speaking
buddy
of
Big Ray,
Big Ray
I feel
coming
sorry,
second, you thought he had it. I remember you was telling
man.
me.
Big Ray Morris, he's my buddy. We stayed at his place. He didn't have a scale that day of the tournament and didn't weigh any of his fish. He just had them separated. He said, "These up front are my eaters. I want to eat." And these back here in his back live well. He said, "That's what I'm gonna weigh in." I got to look at some of the ones up front. I said, "Ray, I think some of them are bigger than the ones you got in the back." He said, "Oh no, I got it, buddy. Got it." I said, "All right." So he didn't have
If
a
he didn't
scale
have a
to
balance beam or nothing, that's
nothing.
that's kind of tough, man.
It's kind of a sad story of his partner was coming up from North Florida, and he had our minnows that he had bought down there in North Florida, and he had rate scale and his cull tags and everything, and he got rear-ended and had the minnows in the truck with him. He had
Jeez.
12 dozen minnows in the truck with him. Got rear-ended, and the cooler just blows up, and
Oh
12
man.
dozen minnows go flying all over his truck. And so he didn't make the tournament, and we didn't know at the time. We had an extra set of scales. We let Ray borrow them, but that I was proud for Ray. I think Ray had maybe it might have been his fourth or fifth tournament he's ever fished in. He got second. We were real proud for him and proud for Kevin and Jessica because they're our friends.
Oh yeah,
And
I know it was tough. And like speaking of, check them shirts out they got on, folks. Them shirts turned out nice, man.
yeah,
That
we got to
white
think.
pops,
We
man.
got
That crappie cast on there pops, man. That is good looking.
the blue is sharp too. There's a blue color
Right.
also that we're gonna have at the expo. We got to thank our good friend Crystalline. Crystalline, she's been working hard at getting these done for us before
Yeah, they look. That
the
looks good.
tournament.
That thing's clean, man. Let's see. Somebody asked something.
And
Matt Singley.
the good thing
Go
about it,
ahead.
it's not that laminate. It's like in the shirt, so
Right, right. It's not. It's not a.
it's not gonna peel off. This is
Now, like
you
this
know
shirt I got on, it starts fading and potting and stuff like that.
right.
But
She did one heck of a
how many of
job.
them shirts you gonna have? Guesstimate. I don't know. Somebody asked me. I said, man, I don't know. That's John
Uh,
and Jessica's.
I'm thinking about 80.
That's awesome.
80. Yeah, I we got some of our, our friends that on here all the time. I told them I was gonna hold them one out.
Good deal.
Um, you
Good
know,
deal.
because they're people that are on here every week, I kind of feel obligated to 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 be good to them. We said we're going to keep most of them for the expo, which we are. Then we had 90 in the beginning, and we got our buddy Ryan Dooley that was on the show with us.
Right. Yeah.
We
That's
sent
right.
a couple out there to the Crappie Master National Championship with him, and Kevin and Jessica Hicks, they're going out there to the Crappie Master National Championship.
That's
We sent a
awesome.
couple
Yeah.
of
Oh,
them.
Ryan Dooley messaged me today. He said, "Hey, man, I've been listening to you and John for 4 hours a day." I guess he was running his mower and he owns a lawn care service. And I was like, "Man, that's awesome." That's when
Man,
John told me he was asking for a shirt and stuff. I told him we appreciate the support. So we're going to be at booth number 7 while John and them talking about it. The Crappie Expo starts next Friday, 10. I think it's 10 a.m. It opens up 10 to 6. I know it's to 6 p.m. every day. The final weigh-in will be at the Exhibit Center. They're going to have a boat show. The other 2 weigh-in, Friday and Saturday, will be at the Lincoln Landing up there on Logan Martin, but they'll have a boat show and all that stuff there. So it's going to be a pretty neat deal, man. I'm looking forward to it. John and Jessica and I will be right there at booth number 7, and y'all come by, and there's a lot of names, that we don't, like we said last night, we can put the faces with, and y'all come by and say hello. I hope to clog that corner out when we can put CrappieKast on the map there and that thing and make people kind of pay attention a little bit and bring, get it out there, because every day, thanks to y'all's help, everywhere I go, people's like, "Hey, man, I really enjoy this. I really enjoy that." And I get messages just like John tells me he does too, man. We appreciate it. But somebody asked, Matt Singley asked, "Are y'all going to post the interview from the Crappie Expo? And will it be live?" I don't know what kind of signal we're going to have in there, Matt, to be honest with you. I'm hoping we should have a pretty good signal. And hopefully one of our buddies is going to lead that thing and they can come sit in with us and we'll get a microphone. It may not be, what's that, John?
You always heard the older folks I know where I grew up say, "The good Lord willing, the creek don't rise." We're going to try.
We're going to try, man. It might not be too organized, Matt, but we're going to try to get them on, even if it's on my darn cell phone, guys. We're going to try to, get you some, you're not going to get much information out of somebody, but the conditions are going to be tough, and a few friends of mine are going to enjoy that, and that's what they want. They want it to be tough because they excel in those conditions, and I hope, and I wish luck to everybody. We got a bunch of friends fishing it. Like you said, Kevin, Jessica Hitz going to the Crappie, is it the Crappie Masters National Championship?
It is.
Okay, I just want to make sure I name it right there. And you follow. I think they're leaving Saturday. They wish them a safe trip, and hopefully Kevin and Jessica, hey, puts their name up there in the top of that baby too. I'd like to, because there's going to be some hammers in that baby. So
yes, it is.
Big time, man. We got all kinds of people tuning in. 58 people. Okay, Tim Pentecost said we'll have a good signal, so that's great. Shiloh's going to be fishing, and I forgot about that. I'm sitting there thinking.
Be brutal.
He wants to be brutal. That's what they're wishing for, And
that's when the big dogs shine.
That's it.
On everybody else. When we first started fishing tournaments, people were still spider rigging, and we were spider rigging before we started fishing tournaments. But the first year Jessica and I started fishing tournaments, people were still spider rigging, and we would hope it'd be windy, and there'd be a lot of boat traffic, and we were just hoping for those bad conditions that would mess that spider rigging up. And actually, Tim was one of the guys we were fishing against, and he was spider rigging at the time.
Oh yeah, he's been doing it a long time.
We'd always be texting back and forth with each other. I'm like, "All right, it's gonna be blowing 15." He's like, "You got it, bud. You got it." He said, "If it's blowing 15, we'd just be going."
You got what you wish for, yeah. Oh yeah. Scott Seals said it's nice to meet you. I guess you met Scott at Lay Lake at the tournament Sunday. That's awesome, man.
Man, it was super exciting. We were at that tournament, and like I said, they came up and said we didn't know anything about Lay Lake Sunday Series tournament, and that we heard about it on y'all's show, and we fishing there already. We just show up and fish the tournament.
That's awesome.
That little things like that mean a lot.
Oh yeah, exactly. People, exactly. And that's a good thing. What's Big Daddy saying right here? Oh, I know what Big Daddy's saying. Big Daddy made a comment how a lot of these places are not mapped. Like the Alabama River's got a lot of red. Those it's just not mapped. It's solid red. And he was telling me, he said, "Hey man, I was losing my track because this track was red, and I didn't realize you can go in there when you delete your track, you can change the color of the track, so you can make it." Yes. So he told me today, and I got to checking into it because I really wasn't sure. And he said, man, it helps him because a lot of those places aren't mapped. Like I said, and you're marking brush piles, and you can't see if you've been by a certain brush pile or stake bed. So I appreciate you bringing that back up, Big Daddy, because that's going to help somebody. Again, if you get in a place that's not mapped and it's solid red, you can change the color of your boat trail, your trail on your mapping. So that's a good thing. Let's see, man. We got
when you got red on your mapping and your trail's red, you get
yeah, you're kind of in a bind, man. Especially if you're trying to get out of there and you're bumping stumps and you got a trail. Let's see what Chad Gillen's saying. He's talking about the expo. I said it would take around 14 pounds a day, but no. If they catch 14 pounds up at Logan, man, I doubt it. I'm thinking somebody catches 10 pounds, 10, 11 pounds, they're going to be doing it. What do you think, John?
I do too. I posted a picture of some big fish today just messing around. And,
yeah.
Of course, our buddy said, that's not on Logan Martin.
Yeah.
I was like, true?
He see himself.
This week or next week?
Yeah. So.
Are we gonna have a podcast next week?
Yeah, we'll have a podcast next week. So.
Yeah. We'll have all our stuff in the expo, and then we'll try to do it. John and Jessica's gonna be up here, and we'll be moving our stuff in. So.
I don't know where exactly she and I'll get to do it at because my nieces will be in the house where we're staying the first
couple
nights. So, but we'll find somewhere to knock it out, and but
we'll do guesses.
We'll do guesses.
Weight guesses next
week.
Weight
guesses in and try to give.
Yeah, we'll have a little fun with that weight guesses, guys, because it's gonna be a 3-day, right? 3-day event. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I don't know how they. Have you noticed? Do you know how they're gonna cut it, John? I haven't heard any of those rules.
The biggest thing I know, they'll cut it. I think to 25 the last day.
Okay. The last day. Okay.
And you get that. That's gonna be, it makes it. Were those guys that had people around them when they knock it down to 25 that last day, they got a little more, less pressure around them, but
right.
The pressure is already going to be applied because they're going to be on that lake for a week, and those fish are going to beat on and beat on and beat on.
It opens up by pre-fishing opens up Saturday, so hey, they're going to be cranking on it. And like John said, we haven't had any rain. The water's super clear. Those fish are going to feel that boat, see the shadow of that boat. It's going to get some pressure put on them. They're going to know everybody's there. I'm not sure, but I heard there's 43, 45 boats in this thing, so. That's still a good bit of boats. Not as many as they expecting, but heck, hey, I think the top place is going to be $50,000 is what I heard. I don't know if that's a fact.
This is all speculation.
This is all speculation, guys.
Shane nor I.
We don't know for a fact what it's going to be, but 50,000 is a good payday, man. Out of 40-something boats, I mean, you got a pretty good chance because I don't know how many's at the national championship, but hey, we're going to cheer them on. If there's 10 boats, we're going to cheer them on. We know a lot of people there. So,
speaking of tournaments. Let's go into what's going on April 6th.
Oh, yeah. The CrappieKast shootout. That's what we're going to call it. I was trying to think of a name, and I thought, you know what? John and Jessica and myself and Big Daddy's going to help us. April the 6th, we have reserved. Trey Wade's on here. I just seen him watching. We have reserved Bridgeport, thankful to Trey. And we're going to have us a shootout right there. And John and I discussed it, and we're going to get the rules together. We're not going to be too picky, but we're going to try to do 7 fish because we want to see those weights up there. We want to put Miller's Ferry on notice, Is that right, John?
I mean, everybody thinks about crappie fishing still with 7 fish in my mind.
Exactly.
Some of the trails gone to 5. I don't agree with it. Matter of fact, our state trail, Alabama Crappie Trail, when we voted on it, I voted for 7. Was in the minority. I think Aaron Knight and I both voted for to have 7 at weigh-in, and everybody wanted to have 5. So
I voted too.
Well, the thing of like John explaining, they have these 3 fish tournaments up here at the house, and somebody might weigh in 8. Yeah, for bass, they might weigh in 18 pounds. That does not catch your attention. But when you see 30-pound stringers, you're like, oh, where the heck is this at? And that's 5 fish, 5 bass. So when I see 14, 15 pounds. I don't care if it's in Africa and it's crappie. I'm going to look. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, where is he catching them things? And the good thing about it, guys, April the 6th at Miller's Ferry, and John will tell you, or anybody that fishes down there, man, if you've ever had success in the spring and you caught big fish, you need to be in that tournament because it is anybody's game, man, because those big females are up there doing their thing. And, you could hit one treetop or one bank or one stump row and win that thing.
Yeah,
And that's what that's
you
what.
could win that thing off 2 or 3 stumps, where those big females always are used to
Exactly
come
right.
in, and you just catch them sliding in there.
And where else you gonna get to fish against the Kegels and the John and Jessicas and the Scott Mitchells? If you've been successful and you can catch some, 7 big fish, you got a mentality. You got to be able to move around, and not just trying to catch a limit. But I think it's gonna be neat. That's April the 6th. We're gonna try to get some flyers together for it so we can talk about it. I hope everybody on the show comes down there. So.
Big Daddy told us we need to put our mic up closer. So,
yeah. Big Daddy does this all the time. He's our tech guy. He's our tech. I can tell. I can hear real well in this speaker, so I appreciate that, Big Daddy.
Yeah. What happens is we'll have our earphones turned up a lot, and then if we turn our mic up too much, we start getting some buzz. So we have to.
Yeah, we play with these.
Be careful with it. We're still rookies. Big Daddy's been doing it for a minute.
Yeah, since the 80s. I enjoy going down there and listening to Big Daddy, man. You just sit in the chair and he tells you about all these stories from the radio stations and when he used to own a bar and a bait shop. And man, I really enjoy that stuff. And I need to get him on here, and I can listen to him talk about that stuff all day long, but it's awesome to meet some good people in Canada. And like I said, hey, when that April the 6th tournament, some people come fish Dippy's tournament up there, and they enjoyed it. And they're like, man, I'd like to come back. They've got a tournament up there in May, so why not come fish April the 6th? And you're pre-fishing for the Dippy's, tournament. So
absolutely.
Let's see what we got.
So we put out a podcast this week. Actually, yesterday we did an in-depth thing on mapping, and just because you hear on the Apple or the Apple Podcast or Spotify, you can come back and look at it on YouTube or Shane Jones Fishing, and
I need to put it on YouTube, John.
You can actually watch what we were talking about, because we had some maps pulled up and we were talking about different areas to fish and things like that. So if you're listening to it on a podcast, you have to kind of visually think about it in your mind. But if you'll come back and watch it on one of these other platforms, you can actually see what we were talking about.
That's right. I see where Chris is asking a question there. Christopher Smith, my buddy he said, what about someone like me that has a boat with a lot of electronics? What can I do to put me on slabs? Gunnersville's cranking up. What do you think he needs to do at Gunnersville right now? Because I'm hearing they're starting to bite a little bit up there at Gunnersville. Somebody posted in the comments, John.
If your nerves can take it, all those bridges hold fish. But my nerves cannot take some of those people that fish bridges, because
me neither, buddy.
it's pretty wild. Some of the
busy.
People, you can be on that bridge pile and they'll just honestly run their boat right up. Like, honestly, I don't think they care about hitting your boat. But the bridge fishing is tough because there's a lot of people that do it. There's boat houses there on Gunners that hold fish.
Shiloh's giving some suggestions too, Chris. So keep on, John.
Yeah, if you'll get on the map and find some of those deeper boat houses on Gunnersville, you could possibly shoot some of those. The only problem with Gunnersville is you have so much eelgrass. And a lot of the boat houses there, they get the eelgrass that'll block. It gets so bad it'll be all down one side of them. And if you get right there on the current break, there'll be a solid line of eelgrass. This time of year, if you can go up in somewhere and find you a lay down where you can see it laying down off the bank, and you don't have electronics like he's asking, just look where that lay down hits and figure out how it's coming down the bank and the angle of it. And if you'll start like where you think the trunk of it is and work it all the way down it, if those fish are on it, just keep working it until you get a depth or a count to the point where you're catching a fish, and then remember that and just keep working that count and work that whole tree. That's the things I would do if I didn't have the electronics to start.
Yeah, exactly. They're giving suggestions like Chris, you can download Navionics on your phone and use it for a GPS to put you on those stumps that they've got marked, and you're gonna cast it in and you're gonna find them, and if you start catching fish, you're close. So it's really, you're not gonna be totally blind, Chris, but hey, go out there and all you can do is get away from those bridges and hopefully catch you some fish. Go ahead, John.
Absolutely. So, but I strongly suggest some of those deeper boat docks because
Oh, yeah.
I know that there's some, and I mean, out of respect for some of the people that live there and fish that all the time, I won't say which creeks they're in, but
Right.
there's docks there that hold fish. I've been there and caught them on them this time of year and even further into the year. I mean, there's one dock in particular I would love to name, but I'm not gonna name the creek to be nice to the people that fish there. They have a sign on their dock that says no fishing allowed on this dock or something to that effect. They're like, oh, it's terrible. I mean, I almost want to like say, come here.
I went to
right
Honeycomb
here.
Creek. That Honeycomb Creek's the only creek I ever shot docks.
I wasn't gonna say it.
I'm just gonna go on and tell you,
That's
Chris,
where the dock is. That's where the dock is.
Honeycomb Creek is on. But hey, Chris, for real, you can get on Navionics and like John and I. If you watched the podcast we turned loose last night, hey, the Navionics, you start seeing the lines closer together where it's dropping off, and see those docks that go way out. But I don't think it's no
Changes
big
when they
secret.
called them on out.
Yeah, hey, Honeycomb Creek's got it, but I don't even know where that sign is. But I know I've shot docks there, and I know for a fact, in the fall. So
There's one there that says you're not allowed to fish. I mean, I can't. The verbiage just lets you know that they're some really nice people.
yeah, yeah. Hey, when you make signs like that and you don't have a real nice ski boat or a big ski nautique or something, you're asking for people to fish it. The guy that walked down with a shotgun down there at Miller's Ferry. I mean, we can go call him and ask him how that worked out for him. Running bass fishermen off his thing. He said he went to jail for a little bit. You don't own the water, but guys, you have to respect people's property. You don't want to, be shooting at their bass boat and hit their bass boat. If you're not proficient, don't shoot your jig around some of those expensive boats, man. The dock, you're not gonna hurt that wood, but these nice pontoons and these nice ski boats, so.
I don't care how much I practice, I still hit stuff. I'll be honest
Oh,
with you.
hey, it does.
Ding.
My poor paint on my jig here is ting to ting to ting, and it takes me a couple shots, but the good news is the pontoon boats, you're really not gonna hurt them. So
that's why I don't use painted jig heads.
Exactly.
They
Hey,
might
speaking
come
of jig
back
heads,
flat-headed. Yeah, they might come back flat-headed at the end of the day, but I don't know. They don't ever last that long.
Speaking of jigs,
hooking something.
y'all see that little old thing right there?
That is the head up too.
Look, this is a wedge head. I don't know if y'all can see that. I'm gonna go and tell you a story, and I said it. That thing is not a very attractive jig. I mean, to be real about it, as far as aesthetic, and if I hung them on a rack, I'm not looking at that thing. But I will tell you, I went Labor Day with a fella, and he was catching 7, 8 fish, and I was zeroing, and I was in there. But I called Steve from Limits Tackle and said, hey, them gray ghost, what stepchild jigs, them ugly, whatever they are. I need you to send me some of them. And that, I experienced it. You can call Shane Welch right now. I was at Miller's Ferry, and I was pitching at some nice fish on a stump, and they were just they were raising their head up. They're addressing my jig, but they never. I pitched that jig in there, and that fish swallowed it. I mean, I thought I was going to really hurt the fish. I mean, it swallowed it so fast, but that little profile and that color, guys, and that water's clear, that is hard to beat, man. It's a good-looking jig.
It's when nothing else works, that right there.
Exactly right.
That jig right there has caught, a lot of fish for us. And
I tied on several Sunday.
Yeah. I told her, I said, all right,
get it out.
Another one. And then I'd say the best thing we caught them on was I've got a hand tie. I use some squirrel tail.
That's right.
And then some black and silver chenille. And I don't know, we probably caught 3 or 4 of our weigh-in fish on that. Something about
you
it.
said Jessica caught. You said Jessica caught 2 fish you weighed in, right? Didn't you?
She did.
What you told me?
She did.
Yeah.
She had 2 of our weigh-in fish. She might have had more than that. I don't know. We caught a pile of fish.
Somebody was asking about the head. It's unpainted, Roger. It's just I guess they call it a wedge head. What is that thing?
Hatchet head.
Hatchet head or whatever. What size hook is that, John? Is that a 4 or 6?
I think he puts them on a 6.
I think it's a 6.
I'm almost positive it's a 6.
And let me tell y'all something, guys. When them fish hit this jig, it is down their throat. I'm telling you, it's unreal.
Everybody freaks out about that size of hook. and thinks that
I'm
oh
the
my
same
gosh,
way, man.
I want to catch a big fish. I gotta have a big hook. No, you don't.
No, you don't. I
I've
done
caught
learned that.
3 pound fish on a number 6 hook.
Big Daddy said he got his ghost jigs in today. I remember talking to him. Somebody's asking. Shallow calls you out on a hand tie. We'll put him out. Might as well put this on here because I've heard it. I remember these hand ties.
Gosh.
I remember them. I remember this conversation. That's awesome. Travis said I'll bring you some. Hey, I'll give you some, Travis, if I don't lose them all before then, buddy. But hey, Gray Ghost from Limits Tackle. I'm putting it out there. I mean, it's no secret. And Eric's done it to me in the boat too, and John's done it to me in the boat. It's happened to me a couple times. And hey,
Eric's how it started. I want to say the first time I fished with Eric, he had some on the boat.
He did too. That's what I fished with. That's 100%.
I said, what do you call this? I started calling it EC Gray Ghost or something like that. And so when I called Steve, I said, I need some of those little gray looking things. I mean,
they're not pretty. I mean, going to tell you, they're not pretty. Like I said, but
you're not trying to catch a fisherman's eye. You're trying to catch a fish.
I know I've seen videos with Hayden and Matt Rogers and all them. When they get through catching all them fish, that jig look just as ratty, missing hair. I mean, those fish are still eating it, So the profile's got a lot to do with it. And that jig, I'm not just trying to sell them for Limits Tackle by no means. I bought these just like you would. I'm telling you, they eat that thing, and that's a great tip, Mr. Steve's on here.
It's a really, really small profile jig.
Big time.
I mean, the body of it's small, the length of it's small, everything about it is.
Right. It's they come in. These are 16ths, Greg.
Yeah.
He was asking me. They come in 30 seconds too, don't they, John?
You can get them in 30 seconds, 16, 24,
right?
8. I think that's about it. I'm sure he'll tell you a quarter if you want it.
He posted one. He posted
marble.
Yeah, he posted some that had a little aqua in their tail, a little blue, and Tommy told me he ordered some of those. I think it was in that post that I shared. I don't know how much they are. Country Cousin Greg was asking me. He's on here.
They're $1.25 a piece.
There you go.
You can't find a better deal on a hand tie for $1.25.
There you go.
Piece. And he'll tie any color you want. I mean, if you can dream it, he'll tie it.
Exactly, man. I taught him. I said, hey, man, I got to have some of them. And there they are. Steve's comment. He's on here right now. Right below you there, Greg. The comment right below you, $1.25 piece. Message Steve Gonalves. I'm gonna say his name right for a change. But I'm throwing the 16th. Philip Dawson's wanting to know. I've been throwing the 16th. That's what John and I threw. How deep of water was we fishing Labor Day? Just average. I forget.
I'd say 8 to 20.
I would think so.
Kind of a broad range, but we fished a lot of different brush piles. So.
Oh yeah, we was moving.
Yeah, this weekend, Jessica and I, we threw a 24 with a bunch.
Okay. I got you. But I'm giving y'all a tip.
Yeah, Jessica said, I think I can. Because you send that 24th going.
Oh gosh.
That's when they're hard headed, the slower the presentation is, the better off you are.
It's awesome.
I feel like you can eat a ham sandwich by the time it gets down there.
Man, we got 66 people. I seen it get to 70 already. We're halfway through the show, man. That's
good deal.
I appreciate all you guys, man. Yeah. Travis is saying, yeah, but they catch them on water bottle wrappers. That's in Mississippi, Travis. They catch them on cigarette.
I got a YouTube video, Travis, where I took a bare jig and threw it out there and caught a fish. The fish was that hot. All it was a unpainted jig head and a hook.
Jeez.
And I've got a YouTube video where I cast it out there, and I think the name of the YouTube video is "Can you catch a fish on a bare hook?" And I did, caught a crappie, and I called it. I mean, like I said it in the video and everything.
That's when they're honed in there, guys.
Yeah, I said, "Here's a bare hook. I'm about to cast it and try to catch a crappie on a bare hook," and I did.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean. Them fish are hot, especially a black crappie. When their attitude's right, they are aggressive. Make sure I didn't miss any.
I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the two.
One of the two?
Yeah.
Scott Mitchell was asking about the tournament. Somebody answered it for us. Appreciate it, guys. April the 6th. Let's see here, guys. What's going on down there? But Mr. Bud Williamson's checking in. He said, late but here. Appreciate you tuning in, Bud.
We had some black and crappie tacos tonight for supper. That's why
Man.
we're yeah.
Yeah. I wonder y'all's running kind of late. I'm glad y'all
Yeah,
didn't
we
post
were.
that. I'd been angry. Hell, I
I'll
ate some
send
old
you a pic- I'll
rotisserie
send you a
chicken and
picture
broccoli
after.
over here. I said, yeah. I had some rotisserie chicken and some broccoli. I didn't have nothing exciting at all. So.
Hey, earlier we started talking about the mullet fishing, but we didn't go into how to
Yeah,
do it.
guys, I don't know if you guys are, like I said, it's pretty interesting how John and them catch these mullet. I don't know, it's just interesting to me. So you can kind of describe
So,
your setup.
so
So
I'm new to it. I'll be honest, but I feel like a pro now because the last trip we were successful. The first one we
right,
weren't. But
right,
either way, all right. So you find you got to be below the last dam, on whatever river you're gonna try it on.
because they're coming up
Some
from the
people,
ocean, right, John?
well, coming up from the bays or the
Bays,
Gulf or whatever.
right,
So what you'll do is you'll find on the downstream side of a sandbar. You know how you can see that current break where it's coming off the downstream side of the sandbar. So you want to get out in about water about this deep. You know, I'm 5'9", so what do you say, 4.5, 5 foot of water, and you want to put your bag. So what you put in your bag is dog food or like cow range pellets in a sack, like an onion sack, and you'll drive
Mhm.
you a T-post in the ground. You can do 2 or 3. You'll drive it down to the ground, and what happens, the mullet, they'll start feeding up, and they'll start feeding on the grain that's coming out of that bag. And then you'll take a cork. Some people don't use a cork. Some people just drop right down the bag with a gold treble hook. Which the way we were successful last time, we put 2 gold treble hooks, and we do use some bigger ones, some number 8s last time, 2 of them together under a cork, and we'd float it right by that bag where it's just barely off the bottom. And the cork does any deviation, just a little tick or anything, like you set the hook. And buddy, let me tell you something. If you foul hook one of those mullets on like a 8 foot outlaw crappie
You told me
pole
they'll
or
smoke you, son. I mean, John's got me
buddy,
fired up, want to
you
catch a
better
mullet.
hold
He said
on. You better
these
hold
things are
on.
smoky. I was like, what?
Oh yeah, and you're out in water this
So you
deep.
just hook it and back up.
You hook the fish. You're in water this deep, so you got to start backing up to get a little bit of leverage on the fish, and then if you're lucky, you'll have a friend that might try to net it for you. You just keep backing up till it
I
wears
wish you
out.
had a head strap for your GoPro, because that would be interesting footage. Watch you bag it
Man,
up
I need a. I might try to take like a piece of conduit tomorrow and
and
maybe
post.
put
There
it
you
on.
go. There you
I
go.
have one. I
Yeah.
had
Yeah,
that.
because I'm telling y'all guys,
Might.
John has said
Yeah.
on numerous occasions, and Jessica did too when I was down there visiting with him, that these mullet pull. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, oh my gosh, if you
You hook
foul
one in the
hook one of
side, it's
those
on, huh?
mullets, especially if you get him back a little bit, you better hold on. And
That's
everybody's
awesome.
like, why do you want to catch mullet? I'm like, oh well, I want to smoke them and make me some fish dips. What I want to do, because it makes a lot of
They
people don't
said
realize
some say that
when you
fried
go to the
mullet is
beach,
good.
yeah, when you go to the beach, a lot of that smoked fish dip you're getting is
That
smoked mullet.
tuna dip.
That tuna dip.
Right. I paid a bunch of that. Had beers and and I'm eating mullet. Didn't even probably realize it. So.
Yeah, smoked mullet dip really is a lot of times are what you're getting, but it's fun and you got 5 or 6 people sitting. You put 2 bags out, and you got 5 or 6 people out there hanging out and dropping over the bags and catching fish, and you got treble hooks flying past everybody's head, and you got
That's awesome,
Jessica
man.
catching.
Like John said, man, they're all standing there, like they're surf fishing, and they're catching these mullets, and everybody's talking mess to each other. And
You're
I'm gonna have
waded
to
out
get
in
in on
water
this.
this deep. Yeah,
Yeah, John, you're going tomorrow, right? Isn't that when
I'm
you're
going
going?
tomorrow.
Going tomorrow.
Got everything loaded up.
Scott was asking. He's going tomorrow. That's awesome. Because
Scott
that's
Mitchell was
right down there
asking.
by Scott Mitchell's house, I think.
Yeah.
I think you're
I
in
was
his
glad to hear that
backyard.
because if we ever have getting a bind, I'm gonna call him.
I've never cleaned a mullet. Country Cousin Greg is asking, do they have any bones or anything? What are they?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, you clean like a regular fish. You just fillet it.
Gotcha.
And when I smoke mine, I fillet it and I'll cut the rib. I'll leave it on a half shell. And I'll cut that rib cage out, and then I'll smoke it skin side down, and then I just take a spoon and scrape that meat out, and then I put it in a whatever container I'm gonna make my smoked fish dip in, and start mixing it all together.
Yeah, Scott's got to run his boat. So yeah, hey Scott, just message John and him. They gonna be up there somewhere. Scott got a new Ranger, newer. I don't know if it's a brand new, but it's a newer boat.
Scott
to
already
him.
knows where we're gonna be at. I feel like shoot me a PM, buddy. I'm pretty sure. I could
Yeah,
tell you one.
yeah.
I could tell him one thing. He'd be like, I know exactly where you're.
Yeah,
going.
that's right in his stomping ground. So Brian
Yeah.
Reed's bringing up a point. I know this is a little facetious, but do you ever believe that you'd see 100-mile-an-hour crappie rigs? And what he's talking about, guys, they're Little Riddle and all them is just all they're doing is trying to get views and stuff, running these bullets boats, and and I don't blame them. It's their game they're running, but most people aren't. They're not fishing out of those light boats, man. I mean, it's tournament fishing. They're going to these 522 Rangers and these heavy boats. But hey, I'm glad for them if they can get some views and get fans from running them 100-mile-an-hour crappie boats. Hey, I'm glad for them. But that's all. That's all that is, Brian. They're just trying to get views and acting like they're racing for $20,000 and stuff. And that it's fun. It's just all in fun, Brian. Get people to view it. And hey, I'm glad people pay attention to crappie fishing. So I ain't gonna go into no details about it, but
I'm just happy when Jessica lets me run 60. Our boat's a really fast boat, but she doesn't like to go fast. So she'll start looking over there if I get to 60. She's like,
I remember last
don't like it at
October.
all.
I remember last October, guys. I was on a bunch of fish, and John and Jessica come visited, and I told John where I was catching them. I said, "Man, you might as well come on in there." And John fished some other places, and she was like, "He ran 50 something."
yeah, I was like,
She said
didn't
I
even
was
realize
hunkered
how fast
down.
the boat would go. She didn't even realize how fast the boat would go. And I'm like, if she watches it, she'll be over there going,
I don't like it.
Yeah. Scott says he knows exactly what sandbar. So good, go visit him, Scott. Maybe you can get us some intel. That's awesome. Let's see what other questions I missed, man. We got some people on here tonight. I appreciate it. I see Adam Acker. He caught some fish. He's tuned in. He caught some fish with old Jowers. They went to Demopolis and had some nice white fish down there. I seen them post it. Steve says if you order some same-day shipping, if he's got those gray ghosts that I was showing, same-day shipping right there, $1.25 piece. You can't beat that. You might as well go and order you a dozen. And Steve's asking about best lithium batteries. Man, are they not all just about all the same?
I don't know about that. He asked me the other night, and I said, I run two different kinds. I'm not going to try to brag on one or the other.
Right.
I guess, the biggest thing is finding something that works for you. And if I was doing it again, I'd find something that was friendly and worked with my phone. So
Right.
you can look at your batteries through your phone.
Yeah.
Because, they've come a long way. I got in the lithium game kind of when it was getting kicked off.
Mhm.
And that wasn't available at the time. So I bought a charger that would do that.
Yeah.
And by the time I bought my charger, I could have bought 2 more lithium batteries because the charger. I bought was
Yeah.
very
John got
expensive.
into it early. He got Dakota. I got Ionic batteries, Steve, and like John said, they're Bluetooth, capable, and they got 11-year warranty. I've been running them since December, and a lot of people run them, but I know there's so many different batteries and guys, but the Bluetooth thing is really nice because
Yeah.
if you can look in there and say, I mean, I got 75%, I don't need to charge them. Or like the
Man,
other day when they had that crappy wire in my boat, John and I were at Grenada, and I put some wire in there that was breaking down. It was just the wrong type of wire, basically. And I was like, I think I'm having battery trouble. And I hit my app, and it was 99%. I said, well, you can rule that out. It's not the battery. And John was like, yeah, man, it's this wire. So thankfully, we got all that taken out. So we're good to go now.
I'm running half Dakota, half Militex.
Right. Those are nice.
I've had good success out of them. I mean, I can't buzz. And
Oh, no, they're good batteries.
The warranties on them, are amazing. I just wonder, how everybody's going to do when they get to the end of the warranty. And I'm sure it's prorated.
Yeah, I'm sure it is too. But heck, they're 11 years is a long time. For sure. And I think it's big. I talked Big Daddy into buying. He's got a lithium that runs his cranking and his electronics, and he was like, man, that's the best thing I ever done because he can watch the app and it takes some weight out of your boat. I mean, when I got my lithiums in, I called the guy and I said, what in the world? I mean, them 50 amp batteries weigh 11 pounds. It looks like a little kid's little Tonka toy little battery. I mean, all 3 of my batteries weigh 58 pounds. I mean,
So if Steve, I don't know that I've ever gone through this with you. Uh, on my cranking, I've got two 100 amp hour Millertechs in parallel. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still 12 across the system. So basically, I've got 200 amp hours of on house power for electronics. And then I run a 24 volt trolling motor system. And I took two 100 amp hour Dakotas and made a 24 volt system. So I can fish 3 days
Oh,
before I have to
you got some
charge.
serious power. John's got some serious amp hours in his boat. But I mean, you fish tournaments, that stuff happens, and you want to, as much as John and myself fish, John fishes more than I do. Uh, Lead acid batteries, they just don't last, man. They don't build them like they used to. They're charging and it's crazy. You're just like, man, and it hurts your feelings to buy lithium batteries. Let's be real about it. They're not cheap, but if you're going through batteries every 2 years, I mean, you're going to catch up with that cost of that anyway. So let's see, guys. I wonder where everybody's fishing this weekend. Y'all need to comment on that. I wonder where everybody's going on. I know, John, where y'all fishing this weekend? I know you're going mullet fishing. Y'all got to be fishing somewhere this weekend.
I'm
Y'all
gonna
be
stay around the house. I think.
Are you going to be around the house?
Our
Yeah,
oldest son's coming home this
yeah.
weekend.
Oh,
We
that's
got our
right.
oldest son.
Yeah.
He's coming home from Tuscaloosa, so he
That's
hadn't been
awesome.
home in a while. I think he realized his mother was gonna skin him alive if he didn't come home. She's
Yeah.
been holding his birthday present since August 16th. He hadn't come home to Tuscaloosa, which, hey, he's a senior at Alabama, so what do you expect? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I understand. There's a lot of education, and a lot of female persuasion over there. So, and I don't blame him. So, there's some pretty women in the South, buddy. Everybody I talk to in business, they're just like, oh, I love coming down there. Because the women are pretty. You go up north, and they tend not to be as pretty or less.
Oh
of them.
man.
So, when I say north, I'm talking about north, like up up Illinois and Indiana, but it is true. I mean, I promise you. But
You're gonna get a skin alive.
no, man, they know it. Hey, like I said, all the guys that come down here, they come down here and like, I love visiting here. You ain't got to go far. Let's see. Somebody said they're going to Logan Martin. Mr. Sonny. Byron said he's going to Lake Eufaula. Yeah, give us a report, Byron, when you go there, because
I went over
I
there
haven't.
today, Byron. It was popping. You follow what?
Oh, Kendall Finley's on here. He's getting over his hernia surgery. He was posting. He was posting what a bad decision that was. He said he was hurting, boy. Hope you got feeling better, Kendall. You got enough natty lights over there to make him feel better, I'm sure. See, Tommy said he's going to the hunting club, cooling off some now, and he'll start back fishing in the month. I guess your hunting club, is it around Akron too, Tommy? I know you told me that's where it was. Let's see here. Any recommendation on Lake Lorraine? I've been looking for some smaller bodies of water. Isn't that Lake Lorraine down Highway 5? I fished there before. Yes, on Highway. I think it's on Highway 5. We were talking about Lake Nichols the other day, Brian, in Tuscaloosa. So, I don't know, man. I hadn't fished any of those places. All you can do is, hey, drop your trolling motor and go. I mean, those lakes are small, John. They're 50, 100 acre lakes like Bibb County Lake. So,
I will say this: I'm starting to notice a pattern. These fish that are on brush now, if you start putting a little pressure on them, they'll start sneaking out the back door a little bit quicker,
yeah.
a little bit quicker, and that lets you know. In my opinion, they're starting to get ready to just release and just go out. And
John and I noticed that
they
the other
might
day.
come back to their brush, yeah. So when you start seeing that, it makes me excited because
oh yeah, that is a
there's
fun
nothing
time
that
of
I
year.
like any more than see a school of fish out there, and then you cast on, catch a few out of them, they start moving and chasing them and staying behind them, catching them, and
Oh yeah,
I
guys,
love
I got introduced to that really last year, to be honest with y'all, as far as chasing the fish, and I promise you, Lake Talcon ruined me, and when I went fishing with John Labor Day, we would catch a couple fish, and you'd see that group just start fading out. John goes, there they go, and we didn't chase them because there was so many fish on brush pile, but he was like, they're fixing to hit that gear. And when do you think that gear is? Me and Big Daddy was talking about that, John. When do you think it's coming? November? I mean, when do you think they're going to be out there running?
you hear everybody talking about the lake flipping over.
Yeah.
usually around that time frame. When it
So
starts getting, the temperature of the water,
yes, yes,
it
starts
flips
rolling back
over.
over.
That to me, in my mind, that's when it starts. Um, November, December.
50s, upper 50s, 60s. When are we talking here, John? As far as
Yeah,
water temperature?
yeah. I'd say when you start getting in that the lower 60s, start watching for it. And I used to, before I realized I could shoot so far out with my live scope and look find
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
I would just ride around and find them on side image in those schools,
Mm-hmm.
mark them,
Those
and
little
then come
Christmas
back around
trees.
and
They're
fish them.
It's so funny. They're stacked up like a pyramid. I mean, it's crazy to watch them, and
But
they're distinctive.
yeah, but the biggest thing is, if you're going to look for them on side, those big schools on side imaging, is look for the bigger marks. What happens? Like some people will think they're seeing it, and they're really seeing bait.
Right.
Schools of bait. So you got to look for the bigger round. The bigger marks in a school. And you see it, you can mark it and go back around to them like that. But now there's really no reason to do that. You can just run up and down channel ledges and on flats and just go fast with your trolling motor and zoom it right way out and do a slow scroll back and left and you can see those schools and start
Oh
easing
yeah.
into them and
That's like
fishing
John
them.
and I done. We're sponsored by the Power Brakes, and hey, when you can run that fast with that trolling motor on 10 and stop and just start popping fish, and I mean you stop within 10 feet, that it is awesome. So it's crazy. It's such a tool people don't understand till you get in a boat that has them, and when you chasing those fish, that is the only way to go, man. It's awesome. Let's see what Tommy says. Do you use side imaging from your console or up front?
I, me personally, I don't. I use it in both places, and I'll
Yeah, you
explain
do.
how. So when I'm riding around looking for stuff, brush piles and stuff, I'll use it from the back of my boat, scanning and going down ledges or whatever contour line I'm running. I'm looking for brush or I'm looking for schools of fish, and that'll be at my console. Well, I have all my units linked. The one I use for a map below my live scope screen, I'll use half the screen will be my map, and the other half will be what I'm seeing side imaging out of the back of the boat. So that way, when I'm fishing, I can keep looking at that side image out of the back of the boat on that left side of that screen. So if I come by something, I see I'm fishing with a live scope up front. I'm still looking at that transducer in the back, and I'm seeing it up front. So if I come by a stump and say it's 30, 40 yards out from the back of the boat, I can swing around with that live scope and zoom out and then go fish that stump still. I can't mark from up front with that for some reason. I don't know. I might be doing
And
something wrong.
I don't know.
But
In that
that's
screen, I
not
guess you can't, can you?
that's neither here nor there. It's still serving its purpose. I can still see, with that side image and transducer seeing it. Man, there's been so many times I've been fishing up there, looking this way, and then that side image and transducer caught something, and I see it up front. I'm like, oh, there they are. I just come back around and go and see
Exactly.
what it
We
saw.
need to, John, I guess we should take a picture. John runs two live scope screens, and then he has a hummingbird below it. He's got the screen split. And he's covering water. Like I said, he's looking at this trolling motor, and he's looking down at that, kind of subconsciously looking down his side, imaging screen. And if he sees a fish there and he hadn't, swept if he's looking out 75 feet, and he's only looking out 50 up
85.
front, and heck, you can cover a lot of water that way. And that's
It,
the way to do it.
I joke around with people. I said it's kind of like having 360 because you're
It is.
using that live scope to scan your 180, and
Right.
then the back of your boat. I'm missing basically 19 feet because that's the length of my
Yeah,
boat.
that's exactly right.
So
Yeah, that's real. That's kind of advanced what John does. Don't get me wrong. That's a lot of time on the water, but that is proficient, and that's the way to get to. And if you really want to cover some water and cancel out a lot of water, you know, I've always said it's hard to beat somebody that knows where not to fish, and that's just the way it is. If you can rule out a bunch of water, that's the way to do it. But most of the time, it's you're doing a lot of idling. I'm sure John does a lot of idling too. I mean, I'm running a bigger unit at the back, and I'm looking for stuff all the time. But
we the other day we found some fish that would eat in this creek, and I told Jessica, a lot of times Jessica doesn't get to to do the pre-fishing before a tournament.
Right.
So she got to the this past week, and I found some piles that were hot, and I was like, you know what, we're going to scan this whole creek. So I start running that pattern, and if you ever seen somebody that really scanning a creek, it looks just like you drew a bunch of lines back and forth,
Oh
up and
yeah.
down, because
Like
what
you
you're doing,
sewing.
you're finding those overlapping lines. So me personally, I shoot outside imaging 85 feet each way. So I want to be, my line should be 85 feet, well, apart. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hitting another 85 and another 85, another 85, well, basically 170 all the way across. But my lines, I mean, just like you drew lines on a piece of paper,
Right.
and we scanned that whole creek, and I think we ended up finding what, like 15 brush piles. Of Jessica's got some allergy. Her
Sorry, y'all, my eyes are killing me.
Yeah, her eyes are watering.
Yeah, but anyway, by the time we got done, it looked like you drawn lines on a piece of paper. By the time we get done scanning the whole thing,
Oh yeah. You have to clear that
that's how
thing a
you know
lot.
that's how you know you scanned it, and you covered the whole thing. If you feel like that's where you're gonna fish, and you want to hit everything within that, and basically this whole creek flat was the same depth, so we knew that we had found a depth we wanted to fish, and we hit the whole thing.
Yeah, country cousin Greg is saying, do you think side imaging is a component that's left out of the conversation about crappie fishing because live scope? And that is true, guys, because a lot of people, they went to live scope when it came out, and that's all they know and that's all they learn. They never learned to read that side imaging. And I learned something about that side imaging all the time. And what we're going to do, and I told John today, man, we're going to try to take some pictures of some brush piles, some stake beds on the side imaging and show you what you're looking for and show it to you with a live scope. That way you can put all that connecting together and you're like, okay, that's what it looks like. Because the reason I know what I'm looking at, because I've been with people like John and say, hey man, looky there. We ought to buy a place on that lake we fished. He said, hey, you see that shadow? That thing's loaded. He said, we'll go there in a little bit, and we did. We came back to it and caught some fish off. That's where I punted that big fish back in the water.
It was funny. We were getting ready to go try some pole timber and some taller stumps. And I
Right.
said, let me go by this one spot. And when I come by it, I said, oh, yeah, there they are. I
Yeah,
said,
you
we'll
can,
come
you can
back.
see the shadow, guys. There was just a wad of fish and the shadow below them, and it was awesome. But like I said, man, I don't know how long LiveScope's been out, 18 or 19. I don't know, and it's not been out too long, but a lot of
It's been
people
out a
never
lot.
really,
Oh, you
it
talking
hasn't been.
Bosco? Oh, I thought you were
Yeah.
talking side imaging.
Oh, Simon's
Uh,
been out a while, but, now
yeah.
you got the Gen 4s, but I tell people, hey, man, get proficient at that side imaging. It's way before the LiveScope is like a spotlight, to what you're finding. So, but I think
But,
he's right.
but
Go ahead,
Greg,
John.
what Greg was asking, talking about side imaging, yeah, a lot of these guys that are fishing with just live scope, they're just going out there and just dropping the trolling motor, and they're probably missing out on a lot of stuff
Oh yeah,
because I feel like if you can do side imaging and that you can go anywhere and
exactly.
catch fish. But sometimes I feel like I'm a I'm a lost cause. I mean, I go some places and I'm like I got all this stuff to fish with, and I'm still struggling. But that happens to everyone. A lot of times, your doubt is your own worst enemy. When you start, because you start second guessing yourself. Like got to jump here, and I got to jump there, and you start, instead of thoroughly knocking out a place.
Yeah, William White. This is a fellow I fished with Sunday. We had a pretty good time. Caught some fish. Johnny said he has a 126 up front and a 96 as console that are linked. Can I run a split screen on the 126 and side scan and live scope at the same time? I'm trying to think. I know you can split one of the units, John. But what you can run the live scope. I'm trying to see
You
what
talking
he's
about the
asking
Garmin?
there.
You talking about on the
Yeah,
Garmin?
all this is. He's got a 126 and a 96 link, so he's wanting to know.
When it starts,
Run a,
when you get into splitting stuff, I'm more professional on the Humminbird than I am
right,
on the Garmin because that's what I split things with. But
right.
I do know this that you can share uh, if you're I've seen it plenty of times if you have them linked, if you have got somebody sitting at the console they can see what you're seeing up front.
Right,
So
right.
I would think absolutely you should be able to split that stuff.
Yeah, I think so
Because
too. You
you
just
know what
got
I'm
to find
saying.
the right
If
setting.
because I mean, there's people filming all the time of what the person up front is seeing. You know, they're filming it from the console back there. So I, Garmin would be backing up if they didn't have that as an option. So
Oh
I
yeah.
would definitely say that is a possibility.
You just have to go in the views. Philip Donson, I know the answer to this. John can answer it. When you're linked together, he's talking about hummingbirds. I'm sure. Do you have to have two cards on the maps?
Of course, Hummingbird's gonna get you every way they can, brother.
Yeah, Philip.
Hummingbird will skin you up. Yeah, you gotta have two cars.
Yeah, you
Uh,
got to have two cards because if
Hummingbird,
not, it's just going to be a
whoever,
standard map.
yes, whoever is their marketing manager or figured out how they can make money. I don't know what you want to call it. That son of a gun is
It's
lost
marketing. It's
because
great. Yeah, he did.
look at
Look at there. There's
we got
Mr.
our
Creek.
little rooster,
Look
the
at
little
him.
man.
It's Crappie.
Look at the little CrappieKast.
That's awesome. Appreciate that, Craig. Look at him. But yeah, they're marketing guys just like these mechanics having to come out with different tools all the time. But what you
He's
doing
got
there,
his
Creek?
he's got his Hilltop sausage hat on.
Man, he is sporting it, buddy. He's got his merch on. He is ready.
Sit up, bud.
Oh, hey.
He got his merch
Creek,
on, man.
You want to tell them about your big crappie? They saw it
Yeah.
on the on Facebook. You got it.
I
Where you
seen
got
it.
it in your room? Tell them where you got it in your room.
Under my mirror.
Under his, beside the door,
Above your mirror.
above your mirror, beside
Yeah, I
the door.
seen it in his room. I went in there and looked at it. And your daddy carried me to that hole, and I punted one a little bit smaller than that one right back in the water.
He can't hear us because we got on the headphones.
Oh,
but
that's
Mr.
right. I'm
Shane
sorry,
He
Creek.
caught a fish right by where you caught that big fish, and then we didn't get to keep it because he dropped it in the bottom of the boat and his big foot kicked in the water.
Sure did. Sure did. I punted it right back in the water. I was like, well, we didn't need to see that fish anyway. Let's see where we're at, guys. Man, that hour flies by. I say this every show, but why can't the time on a treadmill go by that fast? I mean,
Hey, we always have to say his name twice. Everybody's like, what's his name again? It's Creek, Creek. Creek.
Creek. That's right. Adam Acker wants to know, is the Hummingbird premium card worth spending the money on? I
don't think so.
I don't think so
I've
either.
got one of the ones I don't remember. You know, they changed the name of it to try
Yeah,
to.
me too. I can't remember
catch.
what I ordered either.
I've got one that you can put in what time of the year it is, what cloud cover you got,
Oh yeah.
what type of fish you're fishing for, and it'll highlight little areas of the lake. And I've never been very confident in some of the results I've gotten back from it. So I would
Yeah.
go with the base, whatever they give you.
Yeah, I
Just
can't
get
remember
the
which one
Just
I
get
got.
the contour lines and go from there.
Because
The
a lot of that
rest
stuff,
is-
Adam, in Alabama's not mapped anyway, man. A lot of these river systems that you fish.
And the rest of it's just marketing. They're just
It
trying
is.
to.
Yeah,
know.
and they're trying to keep the money flow and all that steady money flow, and all that. But we ain't got long. We're gonna wrap this up, guys. I appreciate all y'all tuning in. We had 70 people on here. Now there's 58 people still on here an hour later. I appreciate all you guys. We're gonna do a show before the expo. The expo starts next Friday, 10 a.m. That's when the gates open. Booth number 7. We're gonna be right there with some merchandise, and Jake and Tim Bozeman's going to make us a big banner up there. Where's your sign? And hopefully, we're going to have it all set up nice.
And here's one thing for everybody still on. If you got a kid and you're bringing them to the expo, come by our booth and I'll tie them a jig and I'll let them pick out the colors and
That's right.
they want for the jig. I'll be glad. As time permits to tie them a jig, and they'll get to pick out their own crappie jig.
Yeah, man. They
Show
get
up,
Johnny
come
Tom
by,
and Jig. It'd be awesome.
with your kids. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to tie this thing up, man, where you can spend time with your family. We done took up an hour already, and I appreciate y'all. And, man, I appreciate John and Jessica being on here and everybody answering questions and people answering questions, Shiloh and everybody that comes on here, and Tim Pentecost and all the guys fishing the Crappie Expo tournament at Logan Martin. Good luck to y'all. Y'all get to pre-fish. I know starting Saturday, man, I hope y'all find fish and all that good stuff. And I hope you're leading where you can sit in the booth with us and talk a little bit about it. But thank y'all. And like I said, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, that in-depth series, episode 2 on the mapping. Hey, get on there, guys, and there's a lot of information John shared on there that's going to help you catch more crappie sitting at home. But appreciate y'all tuning in. John and Jessica, we'll see y'all. Y'all hang out a little bit. See y'all next Thursday for sure live. And John and I is going to film another in-depth series. And y'all give us some topics, man. Y'all can comment in this after the show and that what y'all want us to hear on that in-depth series. We can go in a little deeper than what we can on this show because there's so many topics that we could discuss, man. Appreciate y'all. Darren says great show. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank y'all for tuning in on YouTube and Facebook. We'll see y'all.